$1 million. Free to play. You just need to survive. It's the Fanatics NFL Survivor Pool. Pick one team to win each week. Get it right, move on. Get it wrong, you're out. The last fans standing take home a guaranteed $1 million cash prize. And for every player who joins, we add $1 to the pot, up to $10 million. The Fanatics NFL Survivor Pool. Play free on the Fanatics app. App access open to all. Must be 21 plus and joined by 9/8 to play. No purchase necessary. U.S. only. Void where prohibited. Subject to complete terms. See fanatics.com/game rules.
Welcome to The Case 4 with Chris Cox, the pretend procedural that is set not in the court of last resort, but rather the court of the Walt Disney World Resort, where theme park expert Len Testa and mind reader Chris Cox will regularly debate about some of the more trivial aspects of vacationing in Orlando. What makes visiting here an absolute delight or a complete misery? I'm the less than honorable James Robespierre Hill. I'll be the judge presiding over these proceedings, and after hearing Mr. Cox and Len Testa's arguments, I will deliver my decision. All verdicts are final, unless, of course, they're not, which means we'd love to have you, the listener, also weigh in with your thoughts on these not-so-weighty matters. And the matter before the court today is park hopping. That is the practice which the resort actively began promoting back in the 1990s as a way to boost the sale of multi-day admissions. You remember when they used to run ads in your in-room television that showed the cast member dressed up in that giant theme park ticket outfit? Well, we're now 30 years into this practice, but has practice actually made perfect, at least as far as park hopping is concerned? Mr. Cox, Mr. Testa, which side of this debate will you be handling today?
Hi, Jim. Well, before I get to my side of debate, you have already dropped some big bombs. Firstly, did you notice, Len Testa, he called me Mr. Cox and just you, Len Testa? You see that? You see that respect I deserve?
I know. That's well, we'll see if that's still true at the end of the show.
I believe the phrase you're looking for is familiarity breeds contempt, but please go on.
Yeah, that's it right there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you'll learn, Chris. You'll learn. Go ahead.
Also, the giant park hopping ticket has suddenly come into my mind. I was sure this was a fever dream, but I remember it. And I'm slightly concerned you said it was a cast member in costume and not just an actual ticket, because I had assumed it was real. But what has happened to that costume? Where is it? How do we get hold of it?
So, somebody call Mike Van Eaton.
There we go. And more to the point, given that thing didn't seem to have face holes or arrow, it's got to reek.
You know that cast member's still in that costume somewhere. They're being fed intravenously.
There we go.
Today, I am for park hopping.
All right. And I will be against park hopping in all of its evil forms.
There we go. All right. Duly noted. And as a direct result of the crisp $10 bill that he has just slipped into my judicial robe, I have determined in a totally impartial manner that Mr. Testa now has the floor.
And let me just thank the court here. This is the first time that I've ever appeared in front of a judge with my hands and feet free. So I feel very, very good about that. Also, speaking of the floor, what is with all of these leaves scattered around, Jim?
This court actually was formerly a badminton court. And by the way, be sure and stay on your side of the net and mind the shuttlecocks.
As I like to call them, Shuttle Chris Cox. Thank you very much.
There we go. There we go.
Shuttle Chris's.
So you were saying something to the effect of park hopping is a crime against nature. Is that correct, Mr. Testa?
Right. So let's start off with a little bit of history, just to sort of give the court some background here. Park hopping in Walt Disney World was introduced back in 1982 when Epcot opened with what was called then the Multi-Day World Passport. Jim and Chris, you will be astonished to know that it cost a whopping $41 for 4 days.
Oh my God, I feel sick.
With tax. With tax, right. These days, park hopping costs for Disney World vary depending on how long your ticket is. So for a one-day ticket, it's $62 to $81 with tax. For 2 and 3 days, it's $80 with tax, and then it goes up to $91 with tax for adults. Universal is similar, $59 for 1 day, $75 for 5 days, with something in the middle there.
And of course, Universal have the addition there where you get an actual ride for that money. You can only do the Hogwarts Express if you pay the multi-pass or the multi-day or whatever we're calling it. Park Hopper, that's the name of it.
Right, exactly. So it's park to park for Universal, right? So that's how much it costs. Here's what I would say. The reasons why I'm against it. Number one is the cost itself, right? So we know that Disney World is very, very expensive. For 2 adults, you're looking at $120 to $160 in additional cost. I mean, that's dinner and lunch. Maybe not the nicest dinner and lunch, but that's an experience that you could have in the parks without leaving. It's an additional thing, and food is an important part of your trip. So I would say that your money that you would put towards park hopping is better off spent on food and beverages.
And Mr. Cox, your opening argument?
Well, I am, of course, for food and beverages very much, but I'm also about having a good life and seeing as much of it as possible and seeing as much of Disney World as possible. And look, there are a few ways I've thought about this. I am a British person. Congratulations on spotting the accent. Commiserations if you thought Australian. And I travel to Disney World with my family, and we normally come, as most Brits do, for 10 to 14 days. And I'll be honest, park hopping is always included in that special UK ticket we get. So I've sort of never thought about the cost of park hopping. It's just included in the ticket. But the ability it gives me to have a mix of a stress-free time where I can just say yes to my kids who, when we're in Epcot, go, oh, I want to meet Cinderella. You go, all right, well, off to Magic Kingdom we go. That is a glorious thing. The ability to, as we so often do in the UK, holiday for a long time and then go like, all right, so we can start in this park, we can go back to the pool for a swim, and then we can go over to Epcot for dinner. Because we know we want to have dinner at Epcot at some point. We might not want to spend the whole day there, but they've got the best restaurants and they've got the most of them. Those things, they're all very positive, Len. The cost is came into my mind, actually. There was a point where I was living in Florida, in Destin, in Florida, doing a magic show in a tent. Don't ask. And I had a couple of days where I was like, oh, we could probably go to Disney World. So, of course, we did, because I, at that point, had got used to the American style of driving, which is a 6-hour drive being totally reasonable, rather than in the UK going 6 hours. Yeah, that's the whole length of the country. I'll run out of road. So we did it. We did the drive. And at that point, I was like, okay, so we've only got 3 days at Disney World. And that time, Park Hopper was excellent for a different reason. It meant in those 3 days, we could do all the things we wanted to do. So I suppose my opening argument here is Park Hopper is good because it allows you to do everything.
All right. Jim, Your Honor. Oh, God, it feels weird to say that. Jim, Your Honor.
I'm beginning to see why he's agreed to this now.
Is anyone else feeling chest pain? Is it just me? Okay. Jim, Your Honor, I'd like to rebut 2 of Chris's points. One is around the seeing as much Disney World as possible. And my point here is that if you're park hopping, the part of Disney World that you're seeing as much of is the transportation and ticket center or the inside of a bus. You're not actually seeing the park. So if you really want to see all of the magic in Walt Disney World, especially the smaller details, like the animal kingdoms, animal exhibits and nature exhibits and things like that, you have to stay in the park. You can't just go from park to park hitting the highlights because you're missing the true beauty and depth of Walt Disney World. The second thing Chris pointed out is, yeah, there are definitely some attractions that are in different parks. If you're in Epcot and your kids want to see Cinderella, Chris, I've got to say this. My child is used to disappointments. It's okay to say no to your kids. And I would say, too, that you can also say, we can do that tomorrow, or sorry, you should have done that when we were there. Too bad, too sad.
You are dealing with these meltdowns in Florida heat much better than me.
Yeah, this is. I wouldn't say no to your kids because they're cute, but my parents did it to me. I'm just saying.
I might interject here while we were pre-gaming the show. Mr. Cox, you brought up an interesting aspect of traveling on the Disney World bus system, that you actually enjoyed that moment, right?
I love a go on a Disney bus because it's a nice little sort of 20, 30 minutes for me to sit down in air conditioning, to go onto my phone, to doom scroll for a while, to look out the window and see what's going on, see that weird bit on the way between Magic Kingdom and Epcot where you're like, oh, what are they hanging out to dry there, so we can see what the paint does. I like that part of it. Also, it's a nice point where my kids will sit down ideally in seats away away from me and annoy someone else. So that's handy for a moment. And if you don't get on that bus, Len, when are you going to find out what weird kids show Disney Channel are promoting at this point? I would have never known about Alice in Wonderland's bakery thing unless it weren't for those buses.
That's true. The bus advertisements are a good incentive to do Walt Disney World itself. I go back to this. Let's do some actual real world data. One of the things I pulled from touring plans is a look at what kind of tickets people typically add park hopper to. So in the show notes, we have a little graph, and it shows from 2019 through 2024 the percentage of guests that indicated they wanted the park hopper ticket for various ticket lengths from 1 to 10 days. And here's the interesting thing about this, and it helps make my case. People who buy one-day tickets are less likely to buy the park hopper option. In fact, if you look from 1 to 10 days, it's pretty much a diagonal line that goes up and to the right, which tells me that people who are going on short trips, 1, 2, 3 days, are more interested in seeing an individual park in depth than they are trying to cram 2 parks into 1 day or 3 parks into 2 days. So I would say that in this case, the data supports my argument, Chris, that most people don't want to ride the bus.
But what about the Skyliner? You stick to the bus, and yet the Skyliner exists, a ride in its own. There's a reason people go to San Francisco. Well, there's lots of reasons, but the cable cars are a good one because they get you up and down those hills very quickly. People like to go there. When I went to San Francisco, we went on the cable cars. We got the photo by the Golden Gate Bridge. I had the sourdough bowl, which is a ridiculous thing to serve soup in, I will say that. And we did it. And, that thing of going like, we like to go on the cable cars. We got a photo of it, same as Disney World. There was a point where we genuinely on our last trip were like, okay, well, let's we'll take the bus from the resort to Studios, and we'll quickly pop in and do Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad, so we can then end up in Epcot, which is where we want to be, and we can take the Skyliner and we can enjoy the view, and it's a ride on its own. You're missing out on the joy of a Skyliner without park hopping, because why are you going to go between Epcot and Studios if you're not park hopping?
Interesting.
I agree, Chris. The Skyliner is its own attraction, but there's no reason why you can't take the Skyliner on a simple round trip back and forth between Epcot, like let's say go to Caribbean Beach and then come back to Epcot, right? You just get off and get back on. So you can experience the Skyliner without park hopping.
But it's so much better if you're experiencing it as transport between the two parks, right? Because otherwise, a bit of a boring ride. You don't even get a photo at the end.
I get it. Here's my other concern with that. Switching to another topic. In the old days, when Disney had early theme park entry at only 1 park per day, I could see the case for park hopping then, because you could stay on site, go to the park with early theme park entry, and then by the time that got super crowded around 10 or 11, hop to another park that didn't have early entry, which all the Disney Resort guests are not going to, and that would save you some time. I get that. But ever since the pandemic, when Disney started moving to early theme park entry for every park every day, there's really no advantage to hopping to a particular park to beat the crowds, unless it's something specific like, I'm in the Magic Kingdom, it closes at 6 for a Halloween or Christmas party, right? Then that makes sense to go to Epcot. But that's such a limited scenario, I would even question whether you would want to go to Magic Kingdom on a day with a party.
Now, Len, you just mentioned the old days, and I think one issue we really need to put on the table here is, as you mentioned, park hopping starts in 1982. But let's face it, the park hopping experience changes with 9/11, with the additional security measures that we suddenly see around the resort. Can we talk a little bit about, say, park hopping prior to 9/11 and how it's now impacted getting around the resort?
Definitely. I mean, I think the additional security screening, I think Disney does a great job with security screenings. I think for the vast majority of guests, it's unobtrusive. For people like Chris, who are from the UK and bring an umbrella everywhere, that's going to get him pulled out into a security screening. And frankly, Chris deserves it. So I have no objections to that. But it is a little bit of extra walking in addition to the extra transportation time too. So.
And Chris?
Well, I think, I'm trying to, in my head, think about where we were there earlier this year. And, between Magic Kingdom and Epcot, if you're getting the monorail, which again is officially park hopping, there's no extra security there. You're within the security bounds on the boat. I'm pretty sure at Epcot you just go straight in, right? I'm not remembering that wrong. Where if you get the bus, you do go through security again.
TTC, that's a good question. What do you do? Yeah, I think
In
you.
my
I think,
head,
I think
I
you.
see
I think
it
you
that
skip
we just
it.
go straight
Yeah,
in.
yeah, because you've already gone through
So
screening.
therefore, not an issue. And security, I'm happy to spend a couple of seconds walking through security. I've learned how to hold my glasses case in front of me. I've got that system down so I can be safe. Although weirdly, actually, this is a topic for another time, but why is it that the only security I ever get caught at is the one at Studios? Always get sad. I can be in Epcot in the morning, Magic Kingdom, same day, go to Studios, get buzzed into the corner. Gotta check my bag. Don't know why. We'll bring up a case for that another day.
You're being profiled.
Why is this guy park hopping to 3 parks so quickly? Get him through. What's in his bag?
What is he possibly doing? The thing that frustrates me about park hopping is in the middle of the day, you're with people who, first of all, didn't show up at rope drop. So you know that you automatically question what those people are thinking. Then number two, invariably you're behind them and it's the first time they've ever been to a Disney theme park and the first time that they've ever realized they have fingers that need to be scanned. And I am behind these people and they're like, trying to put their entire palm down on it, trying to put one finger, trying to put their nose on it. Like I'm stuck behind this.
I've seen someone put their nose on it. It's great, a great sight.
And it's just super frustrating. And I don't need that kind of frustration in the middle of the day. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but at least you'll have just been on a 20-minute air-conditioned bus ride, so you're nice and cool.
Okay, fair.
I've got another argument to chuck in here to the Right Honourable Mr. Hill and the very much less than Right Honourable Mr. Testa. Lightning Lane Multipass is suddenly much better value if you park hop, right? Because now you're getting 2 bites of that Disney park hopping cherry.
Fair, but you've got to be in that first park, make that first reservation, and then get the second at the second park. So you don't get the advantage of the 3-day or 7-day advanced booking window for the second park. You're basically left with the scraps.
But you can get yourself some freebie scraps for the evening so you can start your day in Animal Kingdom, get a nice early start, crack through that by 9 or 10 a.m. because of touring plans, hit up Magic Kingdom all of a sudden, there you go, and then you head over to Epcot for dinner, and while you're at Magic Kingdom you book yourself some Lightning Lane multi-passes for soaring, and you maybe get a little Remy might appear, who knows, you'll definitely get Finding Nemo, the Seas one, you'll get that, so you can then have a nice evening and get a load of action out of your $30 or whatever they charge you that day.
It's just so risky to depend on getting same day headliner Lightning Lane multi-pass reservations for that second park. That's a gamble. And you're spending extra money to take that gamble. You're like doubling your risk there. I mean, it's a high cost, granted, medium reward thing. I don't know that the money is worth that. So.
The supreme irony here, at least from my point of view, is that, think about it, this is never a discussion that people have when they visit the Disneyland resort out in California, or for that matter, Tokyo Disney, or to a lesser extent, Disney Paris, because those theme parks are in close proximity. I mean, park hopping is relatively easy, whereas at Walt Disney World, I mean, just listen to, I think D-Day had a less involved plan than what Chris just laid out.
No, it's true. I mean, in Disneyland, it's like walking across the street, going to another park. You're walking across an Esplanade. The 2 closest parks in World are Hollywood Studios and Epcot, and that's still a 15-20 minute walk. I mean, Universal is different, right? So between Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios Florida, that is a relatively short walk, like a little bit longer than across the street, but maybe it's a block. But to get to Epic, Chris, from either of those parks, that's a considerable drive. And the thing that you're going past there in your bus is not paint samples or the wonders of Orlando swamps. It's downtown Orlando where you're looking at pawn shops and payday loan shops and stuff like that in the middle, or construction or traffic jams or whatever. It's just not there's nothing to that other than the sitting in the air conditioning, which frankly, if you want to sit in the air conditioning, just go inside a restaurant in the same park you're in.
Or Hall of Presidents.
Not
there
open.
We go.
So, yeah, but
Okay.
Or PhilharMagic. There we go.
PhilharMagic. There we go. Yeah, just ride PhilharMagic several times.
Okay, you might be onto something with multipass, maybe being a bit of a risk, but the upside of park hopping is it does allow you to see 2 parks in one day. So, therefore, you're going to save a night at a hotel and probably a more expensive ticket. I had a little look, and 2-day park hopper for adults is $349, with tax. A 3-day base ticket is $400 with tax, and a 3-day hopper's $240 with tax. A 4-day base ticket's $507. So there's a real saving there, although the saving may end up going on new sneakers, or as I would call them, trainers, for all that extra walking you're going to have to do.
Got it.
All right, so I get it. You save the hotel night and you save on the ticket. But the question I have to ask here again is coming back to you're hopping from mountain peak to mountain peak without looking at the entire land, right? You're going headliner across parks, and you're missing the detail and the charm that makes Disney World's parks what they are, right?
But Len, don't we all love a greatest hits album? Who needs those B-side fillers when you can just hit up the greatest hits? And look, I agree weirdly with a lot of what you say here, and I think the answer, as annoyingly is going to probably be the case a lot, but we'll check with the Right Honourable Mr. Hill, is that it's sort of going to change no matter what you're doing and how you're doing it. But I, for one, think the real advantage of Park Hopper is the ability to have all the options available to you, and we know how things can shift and change on a dime in Disney World, with the weather, with some attractions suddenly going down, with your kids suddenly being grumpy, with you having a real taste for a baguette from Epcot in France and knowing it's the cheapest snack in Disney World. All of those things allow you to just suddenly be like, all right, yeah, okay, we can do that, without going, oh no, you know what, we can't. And I did Disney World during the pandemic, where we had to only park hop after 2 p.m. and there were times where we were just sort of hanging around killing time because we wanted to do something and we were like, oh, we got to sort of wait now. I like the fact that what park hopping really gives you is just the opportunity to do what you want when you want, which is sort of rare in Disney World, where you do what you want when you've planned to be able to do it.
Gentlemen, these are all very interesting points, but I think we have arrived at our time of closing argument. So, Mr. Testa?
Chris has made some points here, and I know he believes them strongly. I have to go back to my original point. And by the way, there are no clouds in the sky, but I feel lightning in the air when I say this. It's time to slow down and go through Disney parks and appreciate even all of the little details. Don't worry about a schedule. Don't try to worry about packing so many things in one day. I think the best Disney vacations that we have are the ones that we spend just walking around one park, taking our time with our family and friends. And that's why you don't need park hopping.
Chris?
Well, annoyingly, I do agree with a lot of what Len has to say. And something rings true there about slowing down. I think back to a trip we took earlier this year. We were in Disney World for 2 weeks, and we had so much time to do stuff. And I look back and I'm like, oh, we didn't do that, and we didn't do that. Oh, and we'd like to have sat down a bit more and just sort of appreciate some of the things rather than bouncing around all the time. But in bouncing around all the time, we did all the big stuff we wanted to do, and we did it multiple times. And those are the memories that we really kind of cherish. And I think, with the parks adding much more over the next 10 years, we're going to want to see more. And sometimes the only way to do that is to be able to park hop and to take advantage of those different times where different parks are busy, and give yourself a day full of magic rather than one specific place of magic.
Very well. All right. Thanks for taking the time today to explain your individual points of view, gentlemen. I will render a verdict in a moment as I now retire to my chambers for a brief recess. And perhaps a Twinkie and a Yoo-hoo. Please give a listen to this message.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Claptrap here. 2 big things are coming this fall. Borderlands 4 and Spotify Wrapped. So stop listening to that one playlist that reminds you of your ex who only made you cry. Talking about you, Veronica. And pre-order Borderlands 4, coming out September 12th.
Rated mature.
Talk about stepping up. Bang! Bang!
It's time to level up your game. Introducing the all-new ESPN app. All of ESPN, all in one place. Your home for the most live sports and the best championship moments.
The electricity is palpable.
Step up your game with no annual contract required. It's the ultimate fan experience. Level up for more on the ESPN app or at stream.espn.com. Sign up now.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Commercial Insurance. Business owners, meet Progressive Insurance. They make it easy to get discounts on commercial auto insurance and find coverages to grow with your business. Quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
And we're back. All rise. Ooh, I love saying that. Okay. After due consideration on the matter of whether park hopping is really a colossal pain in the ass, or honestly the best way to actually experience the Disney theme parks, my verdict is, well, what's intriguing about this is that Chris seems to come at the Disney World vacation experience with a unique UK perspective. The notion of the week to 10 days to leisurely enjoy the parks, but at the same time make the most of the experience. Whereas Mr. Testa, kind of ironic as the gentleman behind touring plans, who has taught Americans, how to be shot out of a cannon and experience the Disney parks in 3.75 days. I find myself waffling. And speaking of which, we are recording this on early in the morning, so I think I will have a waffle after the session. But yes, this is a split decision, gentlemen, which, by the way, we will now turn to our listeners to sort of see if they can tip the scales of justice. If we'd love to hear your opinions about the issue of park hopping, and we will revisit this topic on a later edition of The Case For with Chris Cox. And with that, this first session of the Court of the Disney World Resort comes to a close. My thanks to our two would-be barristers, theme park expert Len Testa and mind reader Chris Cox, for arguing the pros and cons of park hopping today. And as I mentioned, we're not going to issue a final verdict until you, the listener, weigh in, and we'll then share what you had to say on the specific issue on an upcoming edition of The Case For with Chris Cox. And speaking of upcoming episode, gentlemen, which case will you two be bringing before the court next time?
I mean, I think we kind of alluded to it in the arguments, but I think we should talk about the pros and cons of rope dropping at the parks.
Oh, yes, because nothing says, I'm on a fun holiday, like getting up at 5 a.m. to watch the sunrise, to be first in line for Rise of the Resistance, only to run there to be told, oh, it's not working at the minute, come back later, too late, Slinky Dog Dash is an hour long, good luck!
Wow,
but in American.
As long as you're not bitter about it, Chris.
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. Well, all right. We will review the practice of rope dropping at the Disney parks on the next installment of this podcast. But until then, the Case For with Chris Cox is now closed. Thanks for listening, and this court will be back in session soon.